How's it going, everybody? My name's Warner Fields with Fields of Profit, and today I'm with my friend Andrew, who is one of my students within Lightspeed and also just been crushing it on Amazon recently. So I wanted to get him on here, kind of talk about his journey. So if you want to just kind of quickly introduce yourself, Andrew, let him know how you got into Amazon, where you're at right now, and kind of roll from there.
Yeah, so like Warner said, I'm Andrew. I've been selling on Amazon for roughly 2 years, most of which was during COVID and doing books like stuff like thrift stores and a little bit of Amazon to Amazon used book flips with OA. And then I, interestingly enough, got into wholesale first after that. And that didn't work out as well as I planned. And then I got into OA like roughly around last March and just been scaling and pushing it as much as I can since then.
Awesome. Yeah, and for the uninitiated, OA is online arbitrage, just buying stuff from like Walmart and Walgreens and flipping that on Amazon. What is your like monthly sales looking like recently?
Well, since it's the start of Q4, it's obviously a lot lower than what it was, but I'm doing roughly 50K months and planning to get that a lot more higher.
Awesome. That's nothing to complain about, right? Yeah. So for that guy or girl at home, they're completely brand new to the concept. We talked about doing books a little bit, jumping into OA. What was one of those early moments where you were like, oh, this is, I'm interested in this. Like, this is starting to make sense?
Yeah, I think it was just when I got my first sale with the book. Like, I was like, oh, wow, this actually works. And just kind of got addicted with that. Just did it for a hobby for a long time, which stagnated me quite a bit. But, just that proof of concept really, really helped with getting the ball rolling and pushing it higher and higher.
Sure. Yeah. I like the coming from used books. I did the exact same thing. I know a lot of guys, maybe you're sitting at home completely overwhelmed where to start. Like, start for free. Like, go scan the books that are on your bookshelf and they've been there for a year. They're collecting dust, like all that kind of stuff. Just grab any of the books they're selling for like 10, 15 bucks plus in used condition on Amazon. Send that in. That's going to teach you so much because, we're going to get into it a little bit. But, if you're watching this video, you probably watched a little bit of YouTube. It's feeling a little bit overwhelming. Just getting that initial proof of concept, like he's talking about, is massive. Then you can go out and start spending thousands a day on product and all that kind of stuff. So early days, we're doing books, transitioned into a little bit of like wholesale, OA, all that kind of stuff. So what was like that first online arbitrage method that you started using where you started to kind of find a little bit of success?
Actually, I was using Helium 10's black box. I was using that to source wholesale products, but then I stumbled upon a wholesale OA type of product and got that in and saw like how quickly it was selling and how much profit I was making, and just that sort of reverse searching sort of method like that you would typically use with SellerAmp or storefront stalking that I was using with Helium 10.
Sure. Yeah, that's funny. It's one of those tools you see marketed all over the place. It's just absolutely overkill for OA, but I hear that pretty often. Yeah, so like, trying that, it works a little bit, gravitating a little bit more towards, using SellerAmp, that kind of stuff. What does that process look like? Probably a lot of people watching this who have no idea like how to source. What is that looking like for you?
Yeah, so I don't do much storefront stalking anymore. I used to use it a lot to, the typical method that you would use, like find a storefront that is obviously doing OA and, reverse searching those products. But now I more so use storefront stalking as a method to get like product ideas and to source like sales that I know of, to source like loops and coupons that I know of. Yeah, nowadays it's just manual sourcing sales and running really, really like weird tactical arbitrage searches that
Sure. Yeah. Just figuring out all the kind of gaps to slip in. And I like that. You're kind of mentioning something there where a lot of you guys are probably doing reverse sourcing. You're jumping into different storefronts. You're learning, oh, they sell, the Nikes and great values and all that kind of stuff. But you're also going to start seeing a bunch of like, new smaller brands. I think this is especially valuable with like vitamins and makeup and all that kind of stuff. You can go out and next time you see, oh, Walgreens is running a sale on vitamins. Oh, I remember, XYZ vitamin brands. Now you're going to be building a lot of that knowledge over time. And so that's why I'm a really big fan of reverse sourcing. Kind of in the early days, sounds like that helped you out a little bit there, right? So, we're going from books, OA, doing a little bit of all that kind of stuff. What was one of those early moments where, we've got that proof of concept, but what was one of those moments where it's like, oh crap, I can make a good amount of money and like this could be my income?
Yeah, I don't know if it was probably this Q4, honestly, because before that I was just kind of churning cash, churning credit cards, just trying to see like how far I can take this. But when you do like 100K in sales, like 1 month, you're like, oh wow, like I can multiply that like how many times over and, make 2-3 million in sales in the whole year.
Yeah, once you kind of get into the swing of things, like it probably sounds insane if you're sitting at home just getting rolling, but like, it's not really that hard to spend $1,000, $2,000 a day on product. And that's a pretty substantial business, right? It's just kind of, building that back of mind knowledge, kind of, just really putting in the reps. Do you remember any of those early items, like specifically kind of something that was really fun in the early days?
Oh yeah, Colin Broom obviously was a good one. That's the only one that's coming up, man.
Yeah. Colin Broom was definitely a fun one. I know there's some guys watching this who are probably in on Colin Broom. Just one of those items where you can jump on and buy, 5, 10, 50 a day if you can get a hold of it, and they're just constantly selling. Like, those are really fun ones. Yeah. Got a couple of those we've been cooking up lately. Obviously can't leak those live, but there's always a couple items like that one, right? Yeah. So kind of like more recently, what's been working well for you in your business? I know we were talking a little bit about kind of getting some employees. Like, how's business going for you recently?
Yeah, just hired my first VA, and I've been using a prep center for a long time. So
Mhm.
that's obviously saving me a lot of time. Mainly just perfecting one VA and getting him sourcing a lot like me, and then trying to multiply that over and over and over just to step myself away a little bit from the sourcing, and just also keeping up with like the latest, sourcing methods, sourcing trends, sales, and feeding that information to my VAs so that I'm kind of like the one that's learning the new best methods and then just throwing it their way to do for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's obviously something I'm a pretty big fan of as well. Growing your team, buying your time back, all that kind of stuff. What was one of those moments where you knew you were ready for a VA? Because I know there's probably a lot of people kind of on the fence right now.
Yeah, so I'm a full-time engineering student. This is my last semester, but I wanted to have someone doing some of the work for me while I was buried in last semester schoolwork. That was my turning point. But also when you have the money, but not basically when you just don't have the time to invest as much as you would like to into sourcing, and you have the money, then that's probably the right time to get a VA, assuming that you know like how to source properly yourself too.
For sure. Yeah, I would say like a good kind of litmus test. Got plenty of money. I just don't have time to spend it. And I know where to look, right? That's the big one that a lot of people forget about. Like, oh, I could look here and here and here and here, but I'm just running out of time. I'm trying a little bit. That's the point where it probably makes sense to go get some help. But yeah, I like that kind of thinking about using virtual assistants. If you're not even sure what we're talking about at all, that's like usually we've hired employees from the Philippines. Some people work with people from Colombia, really just anyone who works all online. You can kind of leverage some geography, conversion rates, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So what would you say, you mentioned that you're full-time in college right now. What's the plan there? You're going to go, you just getting the degree? What's the plan?
Yeah, college right now is basically just to finish what I started, sort of. And once college is done, just go crazy with OA and wholesale and private label and just push
Awesome.
that as high as I can.
Yeah. I was in the same boat. Like once I was to the point where I was like, all right, I could probably drop out. I only had like a year left. Might as well
Finish it up.
yeah, I had a little bit of scholarship too. So it's one of those things where it's like, man, like I'd make way more money if I dropped out right now. But, maybe in 10, 15 years, you'll probably be glad to at least have the backup plan if all else fails.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, you're mentioning doing a little bit of like wholesale private label. Have you already started dabbling with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, like I said, I did a little bit of wholesale before I even attempted online arbitrage. So I got a little bit of a gist for that. Private label, I'm still like completely oblivious to. Like that's something that I definitely want to get into because I like the creative aspect of it with, finding a product and everything. But yeah, that's basically all I know about the private label and the wholesale stuff. But
yeah, doing a little bit more wholesale is pretty high priority for us this year as well. Private label's fun just to have like something that's sellable and you build your cash flow and exit. That's really the main draw of building one of those businesses. But OA is a whole lot easier, a whole lot lower risk, all that kind of stuff.
It's a lot more fun too.
Yeah. I've always been a fan of finding a deal and kind of pulling one over on big companies, and OA is just like the commercialized version of that. Where you just make loss prevention hate you. Sweet. Yeah. So, in the early days, it sounds like, you've been at it for a couple of years, that kind of stuff. What would be one of the things that you would do differently to like speed up the process?
Yeah, definitely transition out of books sooner. It's fun, but it's not as scalable. The margins are great and everything, but understand what you need to know through selling books, then get into a more scalable model like OA or wholesale. That's definitely
that was the big one for me too. Getting stagnant a little bit, being scared to make the jump and make those bigger purchases, all that kind of stuff. Like in the early days, did you start with books because of like a capital thing, or what was the reasoning?
No, that was just the only way that I really knew how to sell on Amazon. And yeah, obviously the capital portion was a part of it, but I didn't really realize it at the time. I was just kind of, doing it because it was fun and I was, seeing the orange bars.
Yeah, for sure. I only had like $1,500 to start early on. So that's why I kind of did books. I know some of you guys watching might be a little low on capital. So messing with used books, doing some OA on the side is a great way to get your feet wet and really turn that capital over really fast, right? Yeah. So we were talking a little bit about how Q4 is kind of a big, inflection point in your business where you're seeing the potential. Was there something specific that you implemented, last Q4 where things are really starting to take off?
Yeah, I implemented a lot of no limit credit cards. Like that gave me the ability to spend a lot more money into inventory and, churn that capital over and over. Buying much higher quantities of, fast selling products definitely help. Buying a lot more of the products that sell a lot quicker, but also, have maybe a little bit less the ideal ROI. Those were pretty much the main things that really allowed me to push Q4 as high as I can push it at the time.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's something that holds a lot of people back who are in the $1,000 to $10,000 a month range. Is they know what they're doing. They're just not adding, an extra 5, 10, 20 units to those buy orders, right? Was there something that, specifically that kind of started giving you a little bit more confidence in that, or was just kind of putting in the reps?
Yeah, just kind of putting in the reps, even on stuff that I know is a great buy. I am still hesitant to buy just because, that confidence portion is still something that we all struggle with when it comes to making purchases and all that.
Yeah. I mean, normal people don't go out and be like, yeah, I'm gonna drop $5,000 on vitamins today. Like it takes some adjustment and all that for sure, right? Sweet. So, kind of wrapping us up a little bit, what kind of advice would you have for that guy or girl at home? They've done $0, they've done $1,000 in sales. What should they make high priority right now?
Just finding those products that you could drop more money on and buy higher quantities of. Just, that'll get you the confidence to sort of keep doing the same thing like that over and over.
Yeah, I like that. You're kind of circling a little bit, but I hear it all the time talking with people who, like a colon broom, for example. They were selling on Amazon. They started buying a bunch of colon broom, and then it's like, oh, wait, this is legit. Kind of flipped the switch where it's like, all right, I don't buy 5 units anymore. I buy 50 units and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of that just comes with, putting into practice, seeing the actual results coming in, because, it's not natural for us to start a business and then, oh, yeah, I guess I spend thousands of dollars a day. Like, you got to have a little bit of build up to that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet. So, if the people want to go find you, ask you some questions, network, reach out, that kind of stuff, where can they find you?
Yeah, Droomazon on Instagram and Twitter and on Discord too.
Nice. We'll throw that link down below as well. If you guys want to go check them out, drop a follow. Sweet. Yeah. Thanks for taking the time to hop on, be on the channel, all that good stuff. If you guys want to come and scale your business with us, Drew, lots of other guys crushing it inside of Lightspeed, you can apply to join down below. It's kind of one-on-one coaching, all that good stuff. And, last minute words of advice for the people watching?
Yeah, just don't be scared to spend money.
Yeah. I like that. Just get out there, practice, watch some more free content, all that kind of stuff, get in the community, just start taking it seriously. Appreciate you guys for watching this video. If you did get some value out of it, feel free to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. Really appreciate you guys watching this video, and I will see you next time.